Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Thankful Thursday. So to get started, we're going to be talking about yoga for vertigo today. So if you're going to be practicing with us, of course, you want to make sure that you're medically clear. There are all kinds of reasons to have dizziness or vertigo. This class is designed if you're already medically cleared, and it's more for folks with kind of Meniere's or vestibular paroxysm, benign paroxysmal, tongue-tied, benign paroxysmal postural vertigo. So obviously if you have any kind of cervical vertebra that can cause dizziness, compression of the spinal cord, a lot of these postures may not be for you, and indeed no matter what the cause of your vertigo, you need to be medically cleared before you do this practice, just so everyone is safe. If you are doing the practice and you have some yoga equipment, you might want some blocks or something like blocks if you want to use them. A chair or a wall is nice if you're having balance issues, that way you can be holding on to something. A bolster if you're a yoga aficionado and you have that kind of thing. Otherwise, some pillows, blankets are nice. A strap, if you don't have a strap, you can always use a belt or, a bathrobe kind of tie kind of deal. All right. And so some of the things that we'll go over, I'll talk a little bit in case anybody's getting any props. So some of the things that we'll be going over, basically in my research, I found there's kind of 3 strategies for kind of finding that balance when you are experiencing vertigo. And so one is the ankle, like balancing over the ankle, because that's where your center of gravity naturally is. And then the other center or strategy is over the hips. As we move forward and back, it can kind of throw things off a little bit. And then stepping, because that's when your center of gravity is going to move away from the body. So we can't go, in an online class, we can't go into, serious discussion of these or anything. So we'll be going through some postures. Some of the things that we will be doing, we'll be doing some breath work that balances both hemispheres of the brain and then takes you internally. We'll be doing a kind of ear massage thing that kind of can clear up some stuff if there's anything there. And we want to do some strengthening. The things that you want to avoid, at least until you're used to practicing when you have vertigo, are very sudden forward folds, or having your head down like in downward facing dog. So we do need to do all of the postures if it's at all possible, but the forward folds that we'll do today will be on the ground. So that's why we might have some extra props, because not everybody's going to be comfortable holding a pose on the ground, because you can't really bend your knees that much unless you're putting something under them. So you could prop yourself up in a more restorative kind of fashion. And the restorative poses you can always hold much longer. The purpose of this class is to keep it, under an hour, so we won't be holding things all that long. We also want to so the forward folds on the ground are going to stretch us out in ways that we don't necessarily feel comfortable doing because of balance and dizziness when we're standing. So we can get that done on the ground. We want to be doing some back bending postures with props, of course, so for comfort, because that's the chest openers are going to lift the spirits, heart opening, uplifting, kind of, you can think of it like that. And the forward folds are kind of stress relieving. So that's kind of if you're feeling anxious or stressed out. It's a stressful thing when you're feeling dizzy all the time. So let's see what else. Other than that, we're going to be doing, you want to, if you're not feeling very upright, very balanced, then you want to be moving very slowly, but you still want to be moving if at all possible and you're medically cleared, because you want to keep that muscular strength, flexibility, tone kind of deal. All right, so if you're ready, you can come to a comfortable seated position. Of course, this, you can practice a lot of this seated, but for the intents of this class, I'm going to be on the ground instead of in a chair, but chair yoga is always an option as well. So we're going to interlace our hands together and then bring the thumb and the index finger together, and then flip so that the index finger is pointed upwards. Roll the shoulders back and down and lengthen up through your spine. So you can be seated cross-legged in Sukhasana or half lotus. You can also sit Seiza style if that's more comfortable. And so honoring your body at all times. So if it makes you feel even worse to close your eyes, maybe you softly gaze at about a 45-degree angle in front of you, but you're welcome to close your eyes if that feels good to you. And then just lengthening up through the spine, beginning to take some of those 3-part breaths, if that's all right for you today. You'll be inhaling, filling the belly, the ribs, letting them flare out like the gills of a fish, bringing the breath all the way up to your collarbones. And on the exhale, reverse the direction of that 3-part, that Dirga breath, drawing the navel muscles slightly in, slightly up at the base. That's going to compress the vagus nerve, moving you into rest and digest, something most of us can use every day. So continue those nice 3-part breaths, knowing that this hand position or gesture in yoga is known as Uttara Bodhi mudra, which is the gesture of highest wisdom for cultivating self-mastery. Okay? So besides developing self-mastery, it's going to expand the breath throughout the entire rib cage, and it's going to aid us with immunity while cultivating a sense of integrity and authenticity. So if you like, you can repeat the following mantra silently to yourself. I embrace my inner wisdom, knowing that I have all that I need to live to my fullest. I embrace my inner wisdom, knowing that I have all that I need to live to my fullest. Perhaps letting any other intention you might have for your practice come to mind now. As you continue to breathe, we'll go into a centering for us. In Casey Diane said, I love the person I've become because I fought to become her. And isn't it interesting? I wonder if you already know that you are whole, perfect, and complete just as you are. It can be tempting in times of hardship to look at others and feel less than, or even to listen to our inner voices say, you're not good enough, or you're a failure, or some other insult. And yet looking back over the years, look how far you've come, how much you've changed, how much you've learned, and how you've grown. You know, we tend to let a short period of challenge overshadow a lifetime of growth when our focus is narrow, when we're in that heat of the moment. Yet we are so much more than one moment in time. We are our entire lifetimes, perhaps longer. And so I'd like to invite you to perhaps take a hand to your heart, releasing the mudra now. Just taking a hand or two to the heart, if you like. As you breathe in, and recall all of the amazing things that you have accomplished. All of the magnificent things you've learned. How compassionate and kind you've been to others. That's right. Now allow all of that appreciation, that greatness, that compassion. And just bring it into yourself. Just as you give to others, bring it to yourself and pause and say something kind and loving to yourself. Whatever your inner child is calling out to hear today, perhaps a little mantra to carry with you. That's right. And then releasing the hands, slowly coming back to the room. If eyes are closed, blinking them open. And so we'll begin with just some gentle little movements. So if you're dizzy, you want to begin perhaps by moving the neck very gently side to side, getting used to a movement feeling. Just noticing where your level of comfort is, seeing how this feels for you today. And going very slowly. It can be a good practice to keep the eyes focused at that low level. 45 degrees or so in front of you. That drishti is good for balance. And you're looking at the ground, grounding yourself. And if you like, you can create little tiny head circles here. Nice and slowly, of course. Almost like you're Drawing a little circle on the ceiling with your crown of your head, then reverse the direction. And if that feels okay, feel free to take your right ear towards your right shoulder, pausing here, taking a few breaths. And then bring the head slowly back upright. Pausing anytime you need. If still all right, take the head over towards ear towards left shoulder, breathing here. Nice. So coming back to the center. So we'll be doing a little bit of pranayama or breath work here. So you've already done that 3-part breath. So we're going to move into Nadi Shodhana or alternate nostril. So you're free to use any fingers you like. If you want to do the yogic hand position or mudra, you're going to bend your index and middle finger down and leave ring, pinky, and thumb of right hand up. You'll plug off your right nostril and gently inhale through the left, then close the left. Exhale down the right. Inhaling up the right. Seal. Exhale left. That's one round. Then inhale left. Seal. Exhale right. Inhale right. Seal. Exhale left. Inhale left. Seal left nostril. Exhale right. Inhale right nostril. Seal. Exhale left. Inhale left nostril. Seal. Exhale right. Inhale right nostril. Seal. Exhale left. One more. Inhale left. Seal. Exhale right. Inhale right. Seal. And complete by exhaling left. Release the hand. Pause here. And just noticing any shifts, how you feel. It's a very balancing pranayama or breathwork series. We did 5, you can do 5 to 10. It balances both hemispheres of the brain. So we'll do another breath here, known as Brahmari or bee breath. So it uses a hand position or mudra known as Shanmukhi. Shanmukhi stands for the 7 gates, which means we're going to be internalizing by sealing the 7 gates or openings to the head, which are the 2 eyes, the 2 nostrils, the 2 ears, and the mouth. So it utilizes all the hands, the fingers, the index fingers come over the eyebrow, the middle fingers come to the sides of the nose, and then, let me see, I have to do this really quick. Okay, so so the middle fingers come to the sides of the nose, and then the ring fingers come to the tops of the lips, and the pinkies below, and your thumbs will plug your ears, but in a moment, I just wanted to show you that. If that's too much, some people just put their hands on their heads and plug the ears for the breath, but it is nice to have that total internal kind of focus. So, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. So it is index fingers above, so it's above on the eyebrows, and then your middle fingers are kind of at that corner of the eye, and your ring fingers are at the nostrils, and your pinkies are at the corners of the mouth, and your thumbs there. Hard to do this slowly for me. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep your lips sealed, your teeth part slightly, and your tongue goes all the way up to, I take mine to kind of like right behind my front teeth or the roof of my mouth. And your chin is slightly tucked, so you're gonna be with your ears plugged. We'll do it 5 times. You're gonna make this bzz sound like a B, so it's like a Z, and everybody's B's sound different, but we'll do that 5 times. It's a very internal kind of balancing, calming gesture. And so taking that index finger on the eyebrow, middle finger on the inner corner of the eye, ring fingers on the nose, and then pinky fingers on the lips. You're gonna plug off your ears, tuck your chin, inhale, and we'll begin. Release the hands and pause, noticing any shifts. And so what I really like about these two breaths are they're very safe for most all folks to practice. Of course, if you had any recent sinus, ear kind of surgery, then might not be for you. But other than that, they're very balancing. Okay? So beginning to roll the shoulders gently back and down here. And roll them forward a couple times. And bring your hands together, elbows together, and circle out the wrist, warming up the joints. Circle opposite direction. And then see which pinky finger's on the bottom and switch it. Circle again. See how different that feels. Balancing out both sides. Shake it out, squeeze. Open the hands, making those fists. Maybe you stretch the left wrist forward and the right wrist forward. Kind of nice if you're not doing those upside down, kind of downward facing dogs, to stretch out the wrist a little bit. Now, if it's comfortable for you, we'll come into a cow face or Gomukhasana. So you can always alter or modify how you need. If you're doing the full version, then the knees stack. You want your feet to be equidistant on each side of you. So if my right knee is on top, I like to take my left arm across, and gently gaze towards the left. Sometimes I do a little bit more neck work here, turning the head a couple times, nice and slow though. And bringing the head center and taking that elbow around behind. So your head is pressing back into the elbow, and you're welcome to stay here. If you have flexible upper back, you can bind the hands. You can also use a strap if you like. I'm just stretching and breathing here. When I release, I take the bottom arm around on top and give myself a hug to kind of counterpose that. I'm going to bring my hands behind and gently lean back to switch the leg that's on top, making as little movement back and forth as I'm comfortable as possible, so not to get that vertigo going. Okay. And so with the left knee on top, I take my right arm across, stretching out the shoulder. I like to do that right, left. Of course, you don't have to do the head movement. So if that's bothering you, feel free to keep your head steady. And then right arm is going to come around. You can stay or bind it, use a strap if you like. And do 3 breaths on each side today. And then we'll take that bottom arm around and give ourselves a little hug, counter pose. Bring my hands behind and gently unwind, and you can feel free to windshield wipe those knees and hips back and forth here. So as I said, the forward folds can be kind of a stress relief. So we can't necessarily always do them standing when we have vertigo. So you can take pillows, blankets, some people make it very restorative, put their head kind of on here, because the less you're moving your head, the less you can even do chin if that's more appropriate, but feel free to go to your level of comfort. And so these kind of restorative poses can actually be held, 3-5 minutes, but for today's purposes, we'll just hold for about 5 breaths here. Those big 3-part breaths though. And one more breath here. And we'll slowly rise up. So I'm going to leave these props just as they are. And just to kind of counterpose that forward fold, I'll invite you, if it's comfortable for you, to come back into a yin style pose. Just a little hammock, but without putting the head back. So you keep your chin tucked and just stretch it out a little bit here. So this is optional, of course, just a little way to counterpose without moving props around too much. And then very slowly coming back up. So we'll do a second forward fold in the yin or restorative style. And this one's going to be the Upavista Konasana, so it's going to be like a straddle. So you'll spread your legs to a comfortable positioning for you. And then it's that same use of props to whatever is comfortable for you. And you can keep your head or chin up so you're not getting dizzy, but if it's comfortable, you can always put the forehead down. And again, this is another pose that can be held for 3-5 minutes when you're comfortable with it, but for now, we'll just do 5 breaths. So I'm doing the yin version where the muscles are completely relaxed. I'm not pointing or flexing. Just surrendering to gravity. And after your 5th breath, slowly coming up, move the props over to the side. You can balance your legs in. Maybe you windshield wipe them one more time. And we can move into a back bending posture here known as saddle. And so this one you'll have to vary for your own comfort level. So saddle can be done without any props, or you can do the more restorative with a bolster. I like to keep my neck tucked. I have a cervical vertebra thing that kind of bothers me. And if you have that indeed vertigo, then this might be a good practice for you. So if you're doing it this way, you're gonna bring your knees together, your butt comes right up to the bolster, and you're slowly going to lower down. Some folks are not comfortable in this position, so you can also do half saddle. Additionally, it can be done on a block, but you would need to get, if you're back bending, you can stay just seated upright. If you're gonna back bend, I wouldn't necessarily sit on a block, and if you are, you'd need a couple bolsters, obviously, for the height. So if you wanted to do it this version, I'm keeping my chin tucked here. And again, I suppose I might hold in a yin class for 2-3 minutes, but we'll just do 5 breaths today. Now we are building up to longer holds. And again, it's that heart opening, which is uplifting for the spirit. Feeling all the places where you're connected with the ground, keeping your chin tucked and coming up evenly so as not to torque the back. Nice and slow so as not to get yourself in a dizzy spot, and then sitting on the feet. You can move the prop out of the way here. And so I'm going to do this one sideways to stretch out the ankles a little bit. You can tuck the toes. Sitting in this tuck toe kind of Vajrasana. Oh my goodness, my tongue is tied today. And so because we don't want to be doing forward folds that are sudden, this is the way we're going to come up to standing so that we don't need to bend over. So you can use a chair. I have a chair there, or you can use your blocks if you want to steady yourself. If you have good balance, then you'll just kind of come up without bending over. So if you're using a chair, you might get your chair nearby. Ideal. And so if you're still feeling okay, we're going to come to our mountain pose. So your feet can be next to each other or a little bit like hip distance apart. Sometimes the hip distance apart version of mountain is a little bit more stable for folks. You want to make sure all 4 corners of the feet are equally grounded and your ankles are lifting up. Okay? And so it is nice to kind of do a side-to-side bend as long as that's feeling okay. So getting the lateral movement of the spine in. We like to get all 6 cardinal movements of the spine. So you can move a lot slower than this too. And if you're still feeling okay, you can circle your hips here. And so there's a practice called Dasha Chalana where you're actually circling 8 times all the joints, the 8 churnings. But we won't do the full practice. We'll get the hips going. We've already done some, we'll do the ankles next, but we've already done some of the shoulders and the head. So you can hold onto a chair, circle the right ankle 8 times one direction, 8 the other. And then same thing left. Sure to keep your spine upright. Sometimes when we're dizzy, we tend to bend forward, and that just kind of throws the center of balance off as well. And you can bend your knees a little bit. You can use the chair or not, and circle the knees around. So I'm keeping my head upright here, so not to get dizzy. And then I'm going to circle the opposite direction. And then slowly coming up, I'm going to do a standing camel or back bend here. Taking it nice and slow, but opening that heart again. So I'm not putting my head back. That's never comfortable for me, but if it's comfortable for you, this is not the time. If you're having any dizziness, you do want to keep the chin tucked. Okay? So just honoring your body though, you'll know. And then you can begin to practice doing half forward folds, keeping that head upright. You're going to keep your gaze on the ground so that you're feeling safe and grounded, but getting that stretch in the backs of the legs. And so that's the Hip center moving forward and back. But note I'm holding onto a chair, and you can be doing this much slower. You can use the wall too. Just so you're getting that stretch in the backs of the legs, and you're kind of seeing how it feels to go forward and back. So we don't recommend the full forward fold or downward facing dog for that. But we can move into some warriors. So you can come into your warrior two pose. The right foot forward, left back. So it's a nice practice to hold the poses longer so that you feel that steadiness, that balance, and you're activating all the muscles. So I'd recommend about 5 breaths to start. If possible, gazing over that right middle finger. It's going to lift your gaze up from the ground just a little bit, keeping your feet grounded though. So while long holds are nice, especially if you have vertigo, not everybody is able to hold much longer. So if you want to have a longer practice, but you can't hold more than 5 breaths, you can very slowly move dynamically, straightening and bending. So you can do 5 of those and hold for 5, or vice versa. Do a couple rounds if you like. For today, we'll just do 1 round each. So we can also move into a side angle. You'll do this nice and slow. So you might have your gaze on the ground, or you might look up and see which one feels better for you. And again, holding for those 5 breaths. And then a very slow return to warrior two, and we'll power push that right leg straight. Turn the palms forward, inhale and reach all the way out. So again, use a chair, use the wall, stay upright, use a block if you like as you windmill into your triangle pose. The gaze can be down. Probably recommend down at first. You can turn the head up if you feel more secure, less dizzy, but down is going to really ground you, and you'll hold for 5 breaths here. And then return to that warrior two, nice and slowly. You can power push that right leg straight, and if it's comfortable, reverse the warrior here for 3 breaths. This is opening up the opposite rib cage here. And then coming up. So we're just going to switch feet so as not to do anything that really throws off the center of gravity here. So coming into that left warrior two, Virabhadrasana two. Perhaps dynamic movements 5 times. Push that leg straight, turn the palms forward, inhale as you reach outward, and then windmill on the exhale, finding your version of triangle. And triangle can also be done with a bind if that's in your practice. Wherever you are is where you're meant to be for 5 breaths. be done with a wall behind you too for more security. That's really gonna give you that support and strength too. After the fifth one, a very slow return without moving the head around to that warrior two. And I forgot to do side angle, so we'll move into side angle on this side first for 5 breaths. The body always tells you when you miss something. And then back to warrior two, and now power push straight for that optional reverse warrior for 3 breaths here. And slowly coming up, turn all toes forward. We're just going to toe heel our feet in. Maybe shake it out a little bit. We'll come into a balance, so I recommend, especially if you're having vertigo, using a chair or a wall. We'll do Vrksasana or tree. So grounding into the left foot, your tree can be at the ankle, up a little bit. You don't want it next to your knee. You can bring it up. You can always cross it wherever you are. And really feeling that secure ground beneath you, but keeping your head aligned, your whole spine aligned. Now your gaze can be at that 45-degree angle down, if you feel grounded that way. You can keep your hand on the chair. You can bring your hands to your heart. As you gain more balance, you can always lift them up, but I recommend keeping the hands close to chair, wall for now. It's a nice little security. And then release, maybe take a shake out in the middle. So I'm going to leave the chair there, but obviously you'd switch sides of the chair to do the balance on the opposite side. And when you feel balance on both sides, you'll release the foot. Again, you can shake a little bit side to side. I'm just going to move this chair out of the way for us. And to come back down to the mat, instead of forward folding, we're going to spread our feet wide and go into a malasana squat. So if this is not easy for you, you can have a block or a pillow ready so you can kind of do it supported, because you don't want to be tipping your head forward. You can hold for a couple breaths if that's comfortable. And then coming down in whatever way works for you, keeping the head upright, remember. We're going to bring our knees beneath us. So we did a standing camel, so you don't have to do camel on the ground, but if you'd like to, you can. And so coming up onto the knees, they're going to be about hip distance apart. So you can tuck your toes or leave them flat depending on your comfort. And you can keep your hands on your lower back. You want to engage your buttocks and press your chest forward. You're going to keep your chin tucked for any kind of vertigo in this one. So even if the head can go back, don't do that until you're sure it's comfortable for you. So this might be plenty. Or you can begin to go into the full version if it's in your practice, the full Ustrasana, pressing forward, 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 breathing. Remembering if you're in full Ustrasana to come out, you want both hands to come out simultaneously so as not to torque the lower back. And then go ahead and kneel back down and let the spine round a little bit, but keep the head upright. Just taking a few breaths in that kind of counter pose version there. You can rock the spine in a cat-cow motion if you like. And if it's comfortable for you to come onto your belly, you can do some locust poses that way. It won't be comfortable for everyone, and you'll have to, if you're having some extreme vertigo, you'll have to kind of lower down nice and slow. And so you might start with the arms to the back or out in front and just lift, so you're getting that back bending, chest opening. You can do 2, 3. And I'm gonna keep my head kind of propped up on my fist here so that it's not going up and down. So I'll do 2 more. Resting for a breath in between. And again. And then down. So we'll come into a child's pose. You can press through table. You can do your knees wide or close together, whatever works for you. Again, this is one that you can keep the chin tucked if it's not comfortable to put the head down. You can shift the hips a little bit side to side. Some folks even use a block so they can stretch out the arms and shoulders. So pausing for a few breaths here. And then slowly coming to table. So we'll move into a pigeon pose. Now pigeon can be done supine on the back if pigeon is not for you. For today, I'm going to do it forward. So I'm going to bring my right knee towards my right wrist. And I'm going to bring my right foot forward. I'm going to tuck my left foot behind me to square off the hips. So again, you can remain upright. If you want, you can come forward again, perhaps using that block. Getting a stretch here. And then I'm going to stretch upright. Note I'm keeping my head fairly still. I'm going to come back through table. I'm going to stretch my leg either back or out just to counterpose it. And then I'm going to bring the left knee forward. I'll tuck the right toes to make sure my hips are square. And again, if folding down is okay with my body, then I might come forward. Again, bringing the hands back, stretching the spine, and slowly coming back out and taking that left leg back or out. I'm going to sit back on my heels. I'm going to find my way to my back. I'm going to have blocks and a strap by me. So if you are experiencing any of that vertigo, you're going to make sure you're moving really slowly here. And so we'll come down. If you have a strap, you might take your strap, take it around the right leg, foot I should say. Just really stretch that out. You can leave the left knee bent, or you can stretch it out. Nice stretch. You can hold this for obviously quite some time. Your chin is tucked. You're just gonna breathe. And I like to kind of bend the knee and just circle my hip a little bit before I switch it out. And so straps are nice because if your leg doesn't straighten all the way, you're still getting a full stretch. So if you did want to do the supine version of pigeon, it looks like that. We won't hold it because we did the other version, but you get the drift. Now, one more back bending posture is our bridge. So you're welcome to just lift up to regular bridge, or you can do a supported bridge here. You can take the block on any of the 3 levels. I really want a good stretch today for myself personally, so I'm going to take it on the highest level, but I would recommend starting on the lowest at first and building your way up. It goes in the center, right below the tailbone there. Again, my chin is tucked. I'm just able to hang out and breathe while getting that back bending in, uplifting the spirits. So you're welcome to stay in bridge. I'm going to move into plow and shoulder stand for those that are able to do that safely and comfortably. If you're coming out, you're going to lower down really slow, no sudden movements at all with vertigo, but especially lowering the back down. It was a big stretch. So our inversions are going to reverse the flow of gravity as well as the blood flow. So it's good for kidneys, liver. It's good to just reverse that whole blood flow, especially if you're not able to bend over a lot, but you want to make sure that this is going to be comfortable for you. Obviously, if you have any neck issues, these may not be the proper practices, and you'll want to move very slowly and tuck the chin and use your abs, but you can begin to come into halasana or plow. Some folks will move into a shoulder stand. Again, caution to neck, of course. So you're welcome to stay longer if you like. I'm going to come out and show you one other piece of equipment. So you won't be following me coming up right now, and I'm going to do it a little quicker than I might recommend folks with vertigo doing. They say that supported headstand is actually pretty good as you work your way back up to it. So of course you can practice that with blocks against a wall. A lot of folks just are not going to have the strength for that. So I do love this prop called Feet Up. There's all kinds of things you can do with it, but it's very protective for the neck and the head as well. And again, this would not be something I recommend doing the first time you're practicing yoga with vertigo. You need medical clearance and a strong practice, but it's a nice support. You can do a lot of things, but you are able to get into that headstand kind of feel while having the support and being close to the ground as well. So you'd be coming in and out a lot slower than that, but I just wanted to show you. I love that prop. It's a great prop called Feet Up. So if you're in bridge or shoulder stand, you'll be slowly coming out, releasing anything now. And so a really nice restorative pose that we can do is our Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined bound angle. So you make a little step with your blocks, and put a pillow on top. Again, for vertigo or neck issues, I like to have kind of a block, but you can use a pillow here. It doesn't have to be a block, I just don't have a pillow nearby. And a nice thing to do for yourself is to take a blanket and make like we call it a spaghetti noodle to make it really supportive. And then your feet come together in that kind of cobblers. And then your butt must touch this bolster. But your hips are supported in that open position, like so. And it's another heart opener. And this is a pose that you can really stay in for a long period of time, provided you're comfortable. 5-8 minutes is fine. You can even do Shavasana if you really like. It can actually be nice for some folks with vertigo if you help them into the prop situation so that they don't have to come all the way up and down to do their Shavasana here. So for today, I'm just going to do a couple more breaths here. You might even give yourself a sigh. Feels so good. Now, of course, you're welcome to stay here for the final meditation, or you can set yourself up on the ground for that Shavasana if you like, whatever works best for you. And today I used Balance. So this is the roll-on one, but I'm diffusing it, which comes in the regular 15 milliliter. I know what's wrong with my tongue today. But it's a very grounding, earthy kind of scent, and yet it's lovely. And so settling into that final resting pose. Sensing into the space around you. Noticing the temperature of the air on the skin, warm or cooling. As you recall any intentions from the beginning of class and breathing into them now. And then simply letting go. There's nothing left for you to do. Nowhere to go, just be, allowing the breath to deepen, knowing you are enough. Feeling that whole body supported by the ground, back of the head, shoulders, and muscles of the neck, supported. Each and every vertebra supported. And the hips and the buttocks touching the ground. Back of the legs, heels of the feet contacting the ground beneath you. Whole body resting on the ground. Sensation to the mouth, upper lip, lower lip, and the space between the lips, the inside of the upper teeth, lower teeth, tongue, jaw, relaxed, and the inside of the cheekbones. Those hollow tubules radiating out from the cheeks to the outer peaks and valleys of the ears. Right nostril, left nostril. And the difference of temperature between the inhale and the exhale. Both nostrils hollow and empty. bridge of the nose, tip of the nose. And sensation to the eyes, those orbs of sensation. Upper lids, lower lids, and the space between the lashes. Brow, forehead relaxed, and eyes sinking deep within the head to that place of center, strength and inner knowing, connectivity, and tracing an invisible line back from the brow through the scalp to the nape at the back of the neck. Feeling shoulders, upper arms touching the ground, and elbows and wrists supported, the hollowness of the palms of the hands, and all of the tiny bones that make up the fingers. Right rib cage, left rib cage, the hollow notch at the base of the throat. Breath flowing in from the crown of the head all the way down to the tips of the toes, releasing anything you no longer need. And inhaling in from the soles of the feet to the top of the head, and drawing in strength and universal energy. And the whole body resting on the ground. And hips are open and the legs relaxed and supported. Thighs, hamstrings, knees, and the hollow space behind the knees, and shins, calves, the looseness of the ankles, and gratitude to the soles of the feet, and that positive energy radiating from all 10 fingers and all 10 toes. Whole body resting on the ground. Slowly inviting the breath to return to normal, perhaps beginning to wiggle fingers and toes, maybe circling wrist and ankles. You might lick your lips or move your head a little bit side to side. If it feels good, you can inhale and lengthen your whole body out like a big good morning stretch. If you're flat on the ground, you can hug your knees in and rock that lower back. As it becomes right to you, making your way to a fetal position one side. Of course, if you're still in your reclined bound angle, you'll be coming seated. If you're in a fetal position, just pausing there, perhaps having the ear rest on the bicep. Maybe you take that hand back to the heart as you recall any intention from the beginning of class, thanking your body for all it does do for you. Perhaps repeating any little mantra or kindness that came to you. And from that fetal position, make sure to draw the navel muscles into the spine, elbow closest to the ground. We'll press into it, opposite hand will press in very, very slowly. Circle the hands using that upper body strength and abdominal muscles to come up to seated. If you like, you can bring the hands back to heart center. You can also bring thumbs to forehead for honest thought, lips for honest speech, and heart for honest intention. And namaste. So thank you so much for being here for my tongue-tied Thankful Thursday today. Always available for private yoga, meditation, aromatherapy, hypnosis, hypnotherapy, yoga therapy, etc., etc. We have a group hypnosis that meets once a month. It's the last Monday of the month. So I believe it's February 22nd. This month's topic is emotional intelligence. It's meeting live right now, but with limited seating, so we only have 10 seats. Every Wednesday at 9, we have a therapeutic yin class, again, limited seating. And these are available on the meetup group, which is Unwind the Mind, Hypno Yoga Therapies. The links are always at the bottom of this. It just takes me a couple minutes to put them up. All of these videos are also available for free on the YouTube channel, so if you missed one or you want to recommend one to somebody. We do love hearing what else you're interested in. This was a request by someone, so if you have any topics you're interested in, I'd love to hear about them. You can reach out, shout me a direct message or an email. Let's see, February 18th, I'm doing a 5-week workshop with a partner in Chicago, Karen Hand, and it is on pandemic problem solving, and we're using hypnosis, NLP, EFT, aromatherapy. You want to sign up in advance because we're actually mailing. It's going to be online, the workshop, but we're mailing out some essential oil samples. It's a great thing. So some of the folks affected might be healthcare workers. It can be COVID long haulers like I myself was. But we're going to just address kind of isolation, grief, loss that everybody who has faced this pandemic. So it's applicable to all. You do want to sign up in advance. It's 5 Thursdays at 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it starts February 18th. It goes to March 18th. It includes a ton of extra stuff like handouts, recordings, and if you're not able to make it live, of course, we send you the recordings for that too, but there's other good stuff involved too. And then February 27th, is a limited seating again, Reiki 1 and 2 training and attunements here. And that's with myself and Mary Ellen Duda. And we already have 4 people signed up, so we have room for just a couple more. And it's a full day, so it's a 6-hour, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It includes a lunch. So that is also on meetups and on my website under events. We have this stuff as well. That is all I believe I have for February. I hope you all are enjoying. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you live for the past couple weeks. Life happens sometimes as a student as well. If you have any topics, shout it out. I'm going to put all the links up here, and I hope you found something to be thankful for today. Have a happy Thursday, and namaste.